Well, hi everyone. Welcome to Easy Citing with Zotero. My name is Sheeji Kathuria, and I am a instruction librarian based at the Alpharetta campus of Perimeter College. And today we'll be talking about Zotero. So I wanted to give a few slides on what all Zotero is, and then the majority of the workshop will be me just showing you how it works. And then I don't expect to take the full hour, so we're welcome to stay behind and ask some questions if you've been using it and you're having trouble. I can answer specific questions at the end. If you're here for extra credit for a class, I do have a form you can fill out at the end that I can give you a certificate to show to your professor for extra credit. And then, yeah, I think that's about it. That's all I had to say. So what is Zotero? Zotero is a free citation management tool. It's the only citation management tool that actually senses the content you're looking at on the web to save it into a personal database within one click. So it downloads as a browser extension. I use it within Chrome, but you can also use it with Firefox. And then any content you're looking at, you can save it into your Zotero library, and then you can instantly create a parenthetical reference or bibliography within Microsoft Word or Google Docs. And it supports over 10,000 citation styles. So you can cite an MLA or APA or many other different citation styles, even if it's a specific journal or Chicago style, anything like that. It supports a lot of different citation styles. So you can, when you're using Zotero, you can actually just automatically update an entire document into a different citation style. It syncs across multiple devices, so it does operate as a program on your computer, but you can create an account to where you can use the same library across maybe your work computer and your home computer. So that's a nice feature of it. It supports collaboration through using group libraries. So if let's say you're working with a professor on a project, or you're working with somebody else in a class and you're trying to save sources together, you can do that through group libraries on Zotero. And then I just like to tell people that it's an open source product, and it was created by historians initially, and it's operated currently by a nonprofit organization. So it's a free product operated by people who have no financial interest in your private information or anything like that. So they do value privacy, and they're not profit oriented. So you shouldn't have to pay a whole lot of money to use all of its features. I'll talk about the cost a little bit later, but essentially it works like any kind of cloud-based product where you do have a free account with them for a lot of the storage. And then if you want to upgrade to like a bigger storage amount, then you can start paying. But for the most part, you can get away with a free account for a very long time. In fact, I've been using it for years and I'm still on a free account. And I haven't had to get close to having a paid account with Zotero. So like I said, essentially the most of this workshop will be a demo of me just opening up Zotero and showing you how it works. And I'll be showing how to build your reference library, how to modify some settings based on how you like to work, how to build a simple bibliography. So let's say you're doing like an annotated bibliography and you just want to build a simple bibliography. I'll show how to do that. But then I'll also demonstrate how to do some more advanced features within Word and Google Docs and how to build a bibliography using Zotero within those products. So I will go ahead and exit out of this PowerPoint. Oh, I see some people are waiting to come in, excuse me. Okay. So I will go ahead and start demoing Zotero now. So essentially, what you do is you get started at zotero.org and you go to the download button. And I was saying this earlier for people who weren't here yet, but you download it in a few different ways. So first you download the program itself over here, and then you download a browser extension. So I work a lot within Chrome, so I would download it within Chrome. I will give a caveat for Safari users. If you are using it within Safari, there was a recent update that kind of broke the connector. So if you're a Mac user, I would recommend just using it within Chrome because it works best really within Firefox or Chrome currently. They're working on a Safari fix, but it doesn't work as well within Safari right now. So essentially when you download it, you'll have the program, which looks like this. So it's just kind of a library storage center. And then I downloaded the browser extension, which actually lives within my browser here. So I know it's very tiny, but I'm kind of mousing around it. You'll see this little paper icon at the top right. And that's the browser extension that'll allow me to save anything I'm looking at on the web into my Zotero library. And then finally, it downloads within Word. So once you've downloaded it, you'll see a Zotero menu up here that I'll show how to use later as well. So I often tell people that the installation process is kind of the most confusing because everybody's computers works very differently, and Macs versus PCs, there's slightly different things. I would recommend installing it. Just expect to have to refresh, like close out and restart your browser and close out and restart Word. To me, that just seems to be the most efficient way to just make sure everything's kind of installed correctly. But again, I can't really walk you through the process of installing it right now since I already have it downloaded on my computer. But if you're having trouble with that, then I'm happy to kind of walk you through it. But essentially, I just like to show downloading involves the program, the browser extension, and then having it within Word. And you should have it in those 3 places before you get started. Feel free to use the chat while I'm talking, and I'm happy to kind of field questions as we're going. But essentially, so I've already downloaded it. So I've already kind of done my Zotero.org download. So now I'll go ahead and just start showing you how to use it. So I'm on the library website currently, and I can just do my typical database research. Let's say I'm using Discover here. I'm using any of the databases down here. I'll do a search on something. My searches today will be on college students and stress. And so Zotero, like I said, is not affiliated with Georgia State. It's a free product. It's just working within my browser. So you'll see the icon kind of changed when I was looking at this content. Now it looks like a little folder icon. That's because it's sensing search results on my screen and saying, do you want to save any of this content? So I'm going to click on that folder icon, and essentially it's taken all of my search results and allows me to save it as an item in my Zotero library if I wanted to. So I'll go ahead and select a couple of those to save. And you'll see that the items kind of pop up saying they're saving into my library. And when I open the Zotero program now, you'll see those items have been saved into my library with all of the metadata about those items kind of sorted out. And this is essentially what Zotero will be using to cite later. All of the items right here, the author name and the title of the article and things like that, where it was published, has kind of been broken out for me. And this is how Zotero kind of pulls the citation together later. If I open just an individual search result, it'll sense that content. Now you'll see it's a little paper icon. It's kind of changed. It's pretty good at sensing content on the web. And then I can save that individual article to my library as well. If I'm not using, again, it's just content on the web, so it doesn't really matter what I'm looking at. I can look at YouTube. I just opened a sample YouTube article. Now I'm out of the library website. I'm just on my own kind of internet research. You'll see the icon now is like a little camera icon because it's sensing that it's a video. I can save that into my Zotero library and it pops up, and I'll open the library now. That has been saved and everything. It says it's a video recording. This is the title and all the information. So it's a really good bookmarking tool too. I mean, outside of the citing, if I ever wanted to get back to this item at a later date, I could just double click it and go right back to it. And then I just open like a Medium article. Anything I'm looking at on the web, I can save. So if I'm looking at this Medium article and I want to save it, I can do that as well. So it's really as simple as just clicking that button within Chrome or Firefox and sometimes Safari to save content into your Zotero library. And I'm saving things into a demo folder right now, but I've been saving things for years and I have all different kinds of folders. And when I'm looking at individual items, I can actually edit these things. So, if at any time you notice there's something off about your citation, I can just go back here and kind of fix the capitalization or anything like that here if need be. I can also import things not from the web. So I have a folder, I have it on my second screen, but I have a folder here of PDFs. I'm not on the web. I have a folder of PDFs. Don't we all have a folder of PDFs somewhere on our computers that we want to read, right? So I can just literally drag those PDFs over into my Zotero library, and it takes a second to kind of do it. Sorry, it's giving it a second. There it goes. So now everything I've dragged into my hard drive into Zotero, now it's actually breaking out all that information and making a little item in my library for me from those PDFs. So just by doing some searching on the web or importing items in my hard drive, I can build myself a nice little library of items to start citing. So I'll go in a little bit later. I'll talk about some features that are within Zotero where you can organize and things like that. But we're all here for the citation help, I would assume. So I'm going to go ahead and show how you can start citing these items. So there's a few different ways. First, there's like the simple way where I can just select the items I want to cite. So let's just, select a few of these. I'll just hover and do my control and shift. So I've highlighted multiple items in my Zotero library. And I can right click and click create bibliography from items right here. And it'll ask me what style I want to cite in. So I'll select MLA for the sake of fun I'm assuming most of you are citing in an English class or humanities field. So now, and then I'll select copy to clipboard and bibliography as my output. So I'll click OK. And now within my clipboard, I have a way to paste the MLA cited, works cited. So this is going to be a handy feature if you're doing like an annotated bibliography, let's say for an English class. You can literally just enter down and start writing your annotation right here. You can also drag and drop if you wanted to. It just kind of depends on how you like to use it. But if I wanted to just drag these over, it'll also export as a MLA bibliography in that way. So those are two ways to kind of create like a simple bibliography. I'm not doing the parenthetical references. I'm just doing a straight works cited page from Zotero. The other way that you can use citations and bibliographies within Zotero is with this Zotero menu right here within Word. So by default, you're often seeing the home menu right here, but Zotero has its own menu up here now. And let's say I'm writing a paper and I want to do both in-text citations and a works cited bibliography. So this is where I really like using it. If you're doing like an in-depth research paper and you're having to cite, 5 to 10 items, this can really help you keep track of your in-text and bibliography items. So I'll click Add Edit Citation. And what this does is it pulls up a search bar. And essentially what it's saying is search your Zotero library and cite it. So I think I saved some things on college students. I have my caps lock on. So I'll select a sample and literally it pulls up, you can do keyword, author, journal name. It's kind of searching everything. So I can select an item that I want to do an in-text citation for. It'll automatically do the in-text citation for me. And then if I click Add Edit Bibliography, it'll export the bibliographic entry for that item as well. And I can literally just do this as I'm typing my paper. Next, I want to cite, again, I can't remember what I've put in my library yet. I have a big library in my Zotero, so it's searching all kinds of things. And so when I automatically do the second author's in-text, it'll automatically, in alphabetical order, pull the bibliographic entry after that. If I've been citing in a certain style until now, but I want to change styles, let's say you've been typing in MLA, but you need to change it to APA, I can literally just click on Document Preferences and update the entire document. So it's been doing MLA until now. I can do APA and it automatically updates everything into APA style. Another thing I get asked sometimes is how to add a page number. So let's say you're wanting to cite something. You literally just, sorry, I'll move it over. So literally you just double click and then you can add in the page number that you're citing from. Let's say you're putting a quote in your paper from page 21 of the source. You can literally just double click the in-text citation and enter that page number into your citation as well. If your source has, like, let's say you have a sentence that has multiple, you're trying to cite, 5 authors who said that one thing, you can edit your citation and add the second author's name. And it'll automatically import that person within the same in-text. And you'll notice now that a bibliographic entry has been put in about it. One caveat I like to give students is using Zotero is great and effective and easy and efficient. It doesn't excuse you from still just double checking against how to officially cite something. This is a great tool to keep track of your citations and kind of help you mostly cite it correctly. But you'll notice that it's only as good as the data that's in it. So the capitalization for this is kind of more sentence case. And the capitalization for this is like they've capitalized every single word. So you still have to make sure that it's doing it accurately in whatever citation style you're wanting to use. It's definitely easing the process, but it's not a fail-proof process. So if you were to go to your professor and say, well, Zotero cited it for me, that doesn't mean it's 100% accurate. It's only as good as the data that it's pulling in. So if you ever needed to change something, you could just go into your Zotero library. And I like to sometimes right click on the title in my Zotero library, and I can change the capitalization there. If it's a title case capitalization, but I want to change it to sentence case, I can just do that within one click here. Did I cite that here? Yeah, so if I click refresh, okay, that didn't work that time. Let's see. What it should have done is refresh this, but unfortunately it didn't. But usually if you change the capitalization here and then click refresh, it should have updated that. But for some reason that's not working right now. But essentially that's a kind of shorthand way to do like an in-text and bibliographic export within Zotero. So are there any questions about anything I've shown thus far? That's really like the meat and potatoes of how to use Zotero. You go to the website, you download it, you import content from the web using the browser extension, and then you can build a bibliography from the program two different ways. Either you drag and drop multiple items into your Word document, or you can work within Word to do the in-text and bibliographic export of citations. So I've just covered like a lot of information, like 15 minutes. So are there any questions about any of that that I've shown thus far?
So when you drag and drop, it's going to need to come from the web, because I opened a PDF from my flash drive, but
Okay.
it doesn't seem to be dropping it into the file extension. So does it need to come from the web?
It shouldn't have to. If you have Zotero open, like the program, you should be able to take the PDF from your folder and drag it into Zotero, the program itself. So nothing happens when you do that?
Okay, when you say the program itself, is that the one where it says, when it opens, it says your personal research assistant with the black page?
No, it's, do you see this program I have open on
Oh,
my
I know
computer?
what you're talking about. And
I wish I could see your screen. That might be easier.
I know which page you're talking about.
It's like, yeah, so Zotero downloads like a program on your computer, so you shouldn't even have to go on the web. It's like opening Word or anything like that.
It's where it says my library and then my publications, duplicate items.
Yes.
Okay.
And there, and like at the bottom of your screen, you should have like a Z type icon. Are you using a PC or a Mac?
Laptop, PC.
Okay. So yeah, at the bottom of your screen, you should see like a Z with like a little hexagon silver thing.
Yeah.
So that's the program itself. So you should take like the PDF from the folder and you can just drag it over.
Oh.
While she's doing that, I was going to quickly show.
Sorry, I have a question.
Josh, do you have a question? Sure.
Yes. Hi. Okay. So with Zotero, Zotero generated citations. Do we still? I mean, so is it still a good idea to double check with Purdue OWL?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's yeah, I said that earlier. So you're
Okay.
still subject to the rules of the citation style that you're trying to cite in. So although it's a good tool to help you stay organized, you're still like, I've noticed sometimes you'll see how this item imported in all caps, you know, so you certainly wouldn't be citing that in all caps. So you still would want to change the capitalization of this before you cite it. It usually works pretty well if you change how it capitalizes, how it refreshes in your Word document. For some reason, that wasn't working when I showed it just now. But yes, to answer your question, the short answer is yes. You're still subject to the rules of the citation style. Just like if you're pulling, I closed it out, but when you're pulling an automatic citation from a database, you're still subject to it being machine generated. So you should look at Purdue OWL or Excelsior or the MLA handbook or APA publication manual to double check if the capitalization was right. I would venture to say that mostly what it messes up is the capitalization. So you definitely just want to double check and make sure that those are done accurately.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Were you able to import it, Andrea?
I'm even right-clicking on the PDF.
Yeah, one thing you could try is under in Zotero, the program, you could do file and import.
Hmm.
I don't know if you want to see my screen for a second. I can show you. Like in the Zotero program, there's file and import, and then you can import from a file. And so you could navigate to your flash drive from there.
Oh, okay.
So try that, and then we can talk a little bit more. Any other questions?
Okay, I see.
On your Word screen, in that Word document, you're using the Zotero tab. Are you typing the content of your paper in the Zotero tab or no?
It's not like, it's basically just like a menu. So like, it's not saving to a particular menu.
Okay.
I hope that's what your question is. But like, when I'm in my home tab, it's all the same document. Is that what you're asking?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, so it's not saving to a particular tab. It's just like let's say I'm typing, but I want to change the font. Like I would go to the home tab and then change the font. But the document is the document. It's kind of saved across multiple menus. It's just another menu within the Word document. So it's not like its own document. Hope that helps.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the second part of that was, if I don't have a Zotero tab, how do I go back to add that in?
Yeah, so it's like I've had a lot of people somewhat frustrated over how it downloads. You might want to try, like, I don't know if how you installed it, but you might want to close out Word completely and then just refresh it. I find that kind of helps get the Zotero menu in there. So sometimes if you're working like multiple documents, you might just need to like close everything out and do just a nice refresh. If that doesn't work, there is a way under preferences, I believe. So okay, so I'm back in my Zotero program. I can go under preferences and cite and word processors. And there's a button there that says reinstall Microsoft Word add-in. So at this point, if you're at that part of the process, you might just want to like close out Word completely and then reinstall and then start Word again. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to go through the steps.
Yes, sorry, I'm like moving fast. So are you in the Zotero program?
Mm-hmm.
So you go under Edit and Preferences at the very bottom.
Oh, and then Cite. Okay.
Yes, and then there's like a weird little tab there that says Word Processors. And then click the reinstall. And it works with LibreOffice too. I don't know if anybody uses that, but I find that most people use it either within Word or Google Docs.
Okay, I don't think I had it installed.
Okay, yeah, for some reason, I don't know why it gives a little bit of a hassle about the Word thing, but having Word closed out and then pressing that should help it get reinstalled.
Okay, thank you.
Are you a Mac user by any chance?
No, PC.
Okay, so it should work. I've had some issues with Macs lately, so I'm glad you're a PC user. It should work. Any other questions? These are really good questions.
You're going to send us the recording, right? So we can
Yes, and I have
okay.
like last semester's recorded too, so yeah, I have plenty of recordings of this. And you know, you working at the Alpharetta campus, I can just come by your office and help you get started too.
Okay.
So if there are not any other questions at this point, I'm kind of just going to go into some of the like extras of Zotero. Like that's kind of meat and potatoes of how to cite. You import content and then you export it and cite it in your particular way. If you I'm trying to think if there's a certain other things I should show first. Within Zotero, there's a few different things you can do. So you'll see here that I've created sub collections. So everything by default imports into my library, and you'll see that I've been using this for years, so I have like a million things in my Zotero library, but I've created sub collections based on what I'm working on. So you can right click and do new collection, and that'll kind of help you stay organized of different things. So for the sake of this demo, I just created one called My Demo. And then, you know, based on other projects I'm working on, I have sub collections for that as well. Like I mentioned earlier, there are group libraries. So I've created libraries with other people in the past. So, you know, my colleague and I have a whole library of things that we were trying to save, and we worked on it together. So I can talk a little bit about that. But there is a way to collaborate within Zotero too. Within Zotero as well, with individual items, you can kind of tag and create little notes and content. So you can annotate things. So let's say you found this article and you want to create a little note. There are little items here that you can kind of edit based on how you like to organize your information. So here's all the basic info you can save about a source, but you can also add a note. So let's say you want to say a note of like, you know, English 1101. Like you want to have a note on like what this item helps with, or I should use this source. You know, you can leave little notes for yourself based on how you like to research. And then that note is kind of put here under the item for you to look at later. You can also add tags. You'll notice that when you import from like a database, it actually imports tags for you. So, you know, like any kind of website you're looking at, these are the aboutness of the item that you can kind of save things. You can add your own personal ones. Like again, if you're using this for a site class, you can add that as a tag. And then all of the tags are saved down here. So you can click on the tags here and just find the items that are that tag that you put in there. You can also create colors for the tags. I like to, you know, create little fun colors for all my things. So if you want to make everything for your site class 1101 orange, that's like a good little visual cue to put for you. Again, just little features here and there that can help. I do use a related sometimes, and essentially what that'll do is I'll turn off these tags. You'll see here even now when I sign that thing orange, it create a little orange box next to it. You can relate items to each other. This is kind of like an advanced feature, but like let's say you have some sources in your library and then you want to relate items to each other. Let's say you're looking at the chapter of a book, but you also want to relate it to the overall book it came from. You can relate the two items to each other. Again, just like some features that are fun and out there for you to help you organize your sources. One thing I forgot to show earlier is that you can not only have to import stuff directly from the web, there's little items here that you can import manually. So if you happen to know the ISBN number for a book or something like that, you can type that in here and actually just automatically add it to your library. I think I have an ISBN number here I can copy. So if you know like the DOI or something for a particular item, you can just enter that number in and it automatically gets put into your library as well. So these are just different ways you can work within Zotero. You can import from the web or manually input items or import PDF libraries into your Zotero library. Now I'm going to go a little bit into the edit preferences menu just to show, I know I answered a question kind of showing this already, but there's some different features in here that I think are useful for people who are using them. So under general, there's really not much to talk about. These are just some general things you can do. Sync is really a good feature to have if you're trying to use Zotero across multiple computers. Let's say you use it on campus, but you also want to use it on your home computer. You want to use it on your work computer. You can create an account with Zotero.org and then sign in here, and then it'll sync everything you've saved to that library into the new computer that you've downloaded it on. So creating a login is good if you're using it across multiple computers. I don't think there's much here to show. There's search, again, not really much to change there. Export, and then cite is a good one because it shows you some styles by default. And in fact, I actually kind of modify this screen a little bit based on my liking. So myself as a librarian, I'm probably never really going to be citing an American Chemical Society. So I might remove that with this little subtract icon from my default style of like what comes up in my menu. But I often do find myself citing an APA and MLA. So I'll keep those in my default. And sometimes in Chicago, I can keep those as well. If there's a style that is kind of obscure and you don't see it here, there's a link here called Get Additional Styles. And this is where you'll find the full 10,000 plus styles. You'll see now it's been bumped up to 10,215 styles that they have in their library. So if you're working in like the biology field and your professor uses some specific type of citation style, chances are it's in here, and you can take a look and see if it's in there for you to add into your library. So if you wanted, and if you hover over the, make this a little bigger, if you hover over the style, it'll actually show you like a little preview of what it looks like. And then you're like, okay, that looks pretty accurate. And you'll actually see the date it was modified. So some of these might be getting a little old. So if you know that, let's say this citation style was edited like in the past year or so, you probably don't want to import one from 2015 into your library. But if you want to see all the styles on anthropology they have, let's say, if I can spell, and you want to add this particular style to your library. Sorry, it's hard to click. There we go. If you just click it, it should just automatically get added to your library within one click. So that's a good feature to have if you're, kind of working in academics and you find that you're having to find a lot of obscure styles. You can kind of edit your library to be of the different styles. If you're a student at Perimeter, most likely it'll be an MLA, Chicago, or APA citation style. So those are in there by default. And then advanced, again, there's really not a whole lot here. But like the person asked earlier, under Cite is also where you can double check and see if your word add-in has been put in or not. So I'm going to take a quick look at my notes here to make sure I haven't forgotten anything to show. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm going to go into Zotero.org again. So here is where you can create that login if you're wanting to sync across multiple devices. I'm back on the website now, and I can click login, and I have my login saved. And now this account is what I have logged in here under edit preferences and sync to kind of sync across multiple devices. Here's where I can start it with a group. So if I'm working with another person on different citations pulled together, this is where you can kind of manage that. One thing, oh yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about cost real quick before we start wrapping up with Q&A. So like I mentioned earlier, Zotero is a free product and it's up to 300 megabytes free. And I said it's like a typical cloud-based product where if you start needing more and more storage, that's where the cost comes in. And I just want to assure you that I have been using Zotero, I would say, since 2013, like 9 years, and I've done multiple research projects and things with it. I have not run out of my free account yet. So don't think that you have to buy the $20 or $120 account. You can save quite a bit of items in your library and still never really hit the paid account. I gave a little screenshot of my account here. So like I said, I'm still in the free account here on the left, and I'm still only using less than 50% of my storage. So again, I just want to assure you that don't feel like you have to pay for the paid account. It is pretty easy to save a pretty big library and not really run into a paid account. When it comes to group libraries, just keep in mind that the person who creates the group library is the person whose storage gets impacted. So let's say your professor has an unlimited account and you have just your free account. You probably want the professor to start the group library because that's the storage it takes from, as opposed to the person who has the free account. That's just something to keep in mind. Again, if you're not using the group library, then no problem. But that's just something to keep in mind. So here's just some more information about that group. And like I said, storage counts against the group owner and not the other members. So I think that's essentially all I wanted to cover today. Are there any questions? Like I said, I have, if anybody is here for like extra credit or anything like that, I can give some of those links out now. If you need a certificate to present to your professor, I'm going to drop that in the chat now. So feel free to fill that out, and I'm happy to send you a certificate for attending today. We also have a workshop feedback form, so feel free to fill that out and let me know what you thought of today's workshop. If you've registered for the workshop today and you want the recording, I can try to send that out by sometime this week, and you can get the recording of this. But essentially, that's all I wanted to talk about. Are there any questions or any kind of troubleshooting things I can help with at this point? How do we feel about using Zotero? Does it seem like something we want to use?
Definitely.
Yes, I see one nod with my camera on. buddy over here. But yeah, if you don't have any questions and you don't, you know, you're welcome to go ahead and log out, but I'm happy to stick around and answer some more questions for y'all. I'll go ahead and stop recording.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do we fill the form? Because I can't see any form.
Are you talking about the form for getting an extra credit certificate?
Yes, please.
Is it not opening? Do you see it in the chat?
Let me see.
It's /GSU lib certificate. And
Not
sometimes it
opening
gives
for
you
me.
like a little warning message, but you can just click continue. And it should open like a workshop participation form. I have it on my screen right now.
I don't know. I can't access it. Is there another way I could get it?
Yeah, let me I will, sorry, you're catching me while I'm trying to do a couple things. Do you mind putting your email in the chat and I can send you via email?
Okay.
Thanks. Other questions?
Should I send my GSU email or my
Yeah, that's
Gmail?
fine. Either one. I hear somebody else unmiked. Are there questions?
I
Okay.
do have a
Yes.
question.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Is there a way can I share my screen?
Let me see if you can. You should be able to. This is Alicia. Let me see. I think I can pass my presenter. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So there is an arrow next to an item, and then you can see the items under it. What does that mean?
Those look like notes. Click on, sometimes weird stuff gets imported from the database.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like if this is like from PubMed or something like that, it looks like PubMed or whatever database you were using kind of just like put in some things. You can delete them. If you right click on it, if you need to delete it, if you don't want it, I think you can just move item to trash.
Oh, okay.
But essentially, like, so it's kind of like, consider it like a folder with like sub items in it. So like that top reducing infant mortality title, that's like the giant folder. And then underneath it is like weird little things. So you can add notes there. The PDF of the article sometimes gets stored there. Like you'll see, oh no, that's not a PDF, but sometimes a PDF of the articles are underneath there. But yeah, that like the rural healthcare is kind of like the overall, and the snapshot below it is just like stuff that gets imported from the database.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome to delete them though if you don't really like. So you see, yeah. So with patient satisfaction, you see how there's like a PDF underneath that too. So that's like a direct link to the PDF if it gets stored.
Okay. The other question that I had was, when you were talking about related.
Yes.
And you said you could add, the example you gave was if you have a book and you want to pull out a chapter or something like that.
Yeah, so for me, this is how I've used it in the research in the past. So let's say you have like an article and you're tracking different sources from the bibliography, or you have a book and then like there's a certain chapter within that book that's from the same source.
Okay.
You can click add and then add. If both items are already in your library, you can just relate them to each other. And for me, that's a way to like keep track of like what I already have in my library, if that makes sense. There's probably different ways to use it. So like the first example I was giving was, I have an article that has like 20 items in the bibliography that I want to look up. I'm reading the article. I'm like, oh, that Smith article looks good. This, I need to look up track these citations. I use related to like find the citations I want to find from an article. And I'll say, okay, I'm like trying to look at your library to see who the author is. If the Reducing Infant Mortality has a great article that it's cited, then I would relate the item it's cited into the reducing infant mortality. I'm not really explaining myself well,
I think
but
I do get it.
okay.
I thought I had
We're speaking the
sources in
same
here.
language, kind of. So
Yes.
hopefully
So
you
it's
understand
like
what I'm
for some
saying.
of them, there'll be, like, let's say this one and this one, for example, like they both might reference a Smith article. So I
Exactly.
could do related for both of them and put the Smith article. And so that way I would
Yeah.
know Smith shows up in this source and this source.
Exactly. Yes. So
Okay.
it's like a personal preference, like how you like to organize sources. There's ways to do that. And essentially, like let's say you connected mental health and connecting kids. Then when you click on connecting kids related, mental health and COVID will show up underneath that.
Okay.
So it's like a
That
little
makes
list
sense.
keeping like tech, mechanism. I'm sure there's like other cool ways to use it that I can't think of, but that's kind of how I've used it.
Okay.
Either it's like the overall book with the chapters that come in it, or how an
Mhm.
article has cited other articles. So you can get like kind of advanced with how you like to organize research, and how you like to use it.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no problem. It looks like you've been using it quite a while. So did you start using it today?
No, I've used it before, but I knew I wasn't using it to its full capability. And so I was more using it for storage. And when I tried to do the citing, somehow it just wasn't working.
Did it
So
help today, or are you still having?
yes,
Okay.
yes, I saw exactly what I needed to do.
Good.
Yes,
Excellent.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And like, I think I can, you want to stop, not have us look at your screen anymore.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheeji. Thank you all.
No problem. Thank you for coming. Do you have any questions?
No, not
Okay.
not at this moment. I'm going to install the Zotero to my personal computer and to my Word, and I'm going to start playing around with it. Yeah.
Cool. And you know where to find me if you have other questions.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Josh. Bye.
Bye.
And Atai, I hope I'm saying that right. I don't want to say your name wrong as someone who
Yes,
has
you
a
are saying
name
it right.
that is
I
hard to
just,
say, Atai. I'm going to send you that email right now.
oh, I don't know if I just was able to click on the link and I filled out
Awesome.
the form. I don't know if
Great.
that's it. Yeah. And also, I want to ask, is it possible to send you a message if we need your help? Like if I need
Yes,
your help?
please. Absolutely. What are you, an online or based at a certain campus?
Yes, I'm in Claxton campus.
Clarkston? Sure. So I'm based in Alpharetta, so I can do, I'm going to drop, I hope you can click on this link. I'm about to drop another link in the WebEx chat.
Okay.
That's a link to book an appointment with me. So I can do a virtual appointment just like this, and we can talk back and forth. Or, if you ever need me to come to Clarkston, I could try to trek over there.
Okay. I've taken a picture just in case I can't get it. I can always
Yeah, no,
type
that's
it
fine.
in.
And you can easily do it from the web. Let me just stop recording. Actually, I forgot that I'm still recording.